For decades, Paul McCartney has been celebrated as one of the greatest songwriters and musicians of all time. A member of the Beatles, a band that changed the face of music forever. But behind the smiles, charm, and timeless melodies lies a history of tension, jealousy, and long-standing rivalries that few fans truly understand. Over the years, there have been whispers that certain famous figures in the industry, even some who once called him a friend, harbored deep resentment toward McCartney. Now, the truth about why one person in particular utterly hated Paul McCartney is finally becoming clear. Paul McCartney's rise to fame was nothing short of meteoric. By his early 20s, he was a global icon, writing songs like Yesterday, Let It Be, and Hey Jude. Yet his immense talent also came with an unshakable confidence, one that some mistook for arrogance. Within the Beatles themselves, Paul's perfectionism often created friction. John Lennon, for instance, once described Paul as a control freak in the studio. George Harrison, too, struggled with what he saw as Paul's domineering attitude during recording sessions. He'd tell us what to play, how to play it, and when, George once admitted. Sometimes it felt like we were just his backing band. Those same traits that made McCartney a musical genius also earned him a number of critics. The tension didn't end when the Beatles broke up. It only grew. Paul's decision to sue his former bandmates in 1970 to dissolve the group's business partnership shocked fans and enraged his fellow Beatles. It was a legal move he said he made to save their legacy, but to others, it looked like a betrayal. John Lennon, still bitter from the split, went on to write How Do You Sleep?, a scathing song aimed directly at Paul. "The only thing you done was yesterday," Lennon sneered, turning his anger into lyrics that cut deep. But Lennon wasn't the only one who clashed with McCartney. Over the years, several musicians quietly expressed their frustration with how Paul approached collaboration. Some saw him as overly controlling, unwilling to compromise, and obsessed with maintaining his image as the nice Beatle. Even producers found working with him difficult at times. One insider described him as brilliant but exhausting, a man who couldn't let go of control, even when the magic was already there. Perhaps the most shocking fallout came from within McCartney's inner circle, individuals who once admired him but later turned against him after witnessing what they called his unyielding ego. Friends claimed that Paul often struggled to share credit, even when others contributed significantly. His relationship with Denny Laine, his longtime Wings bandmate, also grew strained over issues of recognition and royalties. "He's a genius," Laine admitted years later, "but he doesn't make it easy for anyone around him." Yet, as time passed, even McCartney himself began to reflect on the fallout. In later interviews, he expressed regret about how things ended with Lennon and others. "We were young, proud, and stubborn," Paul said softly. "I think we all said things we didn't mean." When asked if he was aware that some people hated him back then, he smiled faintly and said, "Probably. But I never hated them back." Today, Paul McCartney stands as one of the few surviving Beatles, a living legend whose music continues to unite generations. But the road behind him is littered with broken friendships, bitter rivalries, and moments of painful introspection. What some mistook for arrogance was often the armor of a man trying to hold together a band that was falling apart, a man burdened with impossible expectations. So, why did some utterly hate Paul McCartney? The answer lies in his brilliance and the shadow it cast. His relentless perfectionism pushed boundaries and broke relationships. His pursuit of excellence sometimes made others feel small, and yet, without that same drive, the Beatles might never have reached the heights they did. In the end, Paul McCartney's story is one of genius and humanity, of a man both loved and resented for the very qualities that made him legendary. Behind every note of Hey Jude or Let It Be lies a truth. Greatness rarely comes without conflict, and even the kindest hearts can leave deep scars in their pursuit of perfection.